There are two main approaches to calisthenics. This would be, on one side, people who advocate the basic movements and maybe some weighted variations of those. So your push-ups, pull-ups, dips, that sort of thing. And on the other hand, you have a skill-based approach, which borrows a lot from gymnastics. It's primarily focused on strength in static positions and maybe some gymnastic maneuvers. And in my opinion, basics are superior for building muscle mass. And here's why. Well, okay, if you look at skills, they reward younger people with very particular body types who are often shorter, with very, very resilient joints, because the amount of strain that some of these skills put on joints, it's really pretty crazy. And oftentimes they have to do a lot of preparation on the joints just to be able to tolerate the training. A lot of these skills are not even approachable for the vast majority of the population. So they can't even really train this way without going through a really, really long preparation period. Also, consider skills carry an elevated injury risk. So back levers and planches, even one-arm chin-ups, these are good examples of exercises that carry an elevated risk when compared to something like a basic push-up or pull-up. So this is kind of a problem because the lower the injury risk, the easier it is to recover and the more productive volume you can accumulate over the course of a week. And if you can accumulate more productive volume, well, you can send a more robust hypertrophy signal to the muscle so you can make better gains. The third thing I would consider is many of the skills that are trained in the skill-based gymnastic style calisthenics approach, they're static in nature, and dynamic contractions like a push-up or pull-up builds muscle better than static contractions. Okay, and the last thing, for building muscle, you want fatigue or failure in the target musculature to be the limiting factor of the set. If the set is limited by something like balance or your skill, your ability to perform it, or stabilizers, it's not going to be as an effective stimulus for developing muscle mass because those other factors are going to be stopping you before you can send an adequate signal to the muscle. So when we look at the basics, they kind of check all the boxes, right? They train a ton of muscle through a large range of motion. They do so without an elevated injury risk. And this allows us to train the target musculature close to or to failure, which is what we need to stimulate an adequate growth response. And because of the lower injury risk, we can accumulate a high amount of weekly volume. And this is the perfect recipe for building muscle. Now, this isn't to say that skill training is terrible or anything like that. If you have an interest in training skills, then that's just a separate goal. But if you're interested in just building muscle mass, I don't think they're superior. Your best bet is with basics done to a high degree of proficiency. All right, so that's going to be it for this time. If you guys have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you next time.